Nice, easy, cheesy music to get us into the first episode of The Luke Kelly Show. Thank you so much for listening. You're probably a friend or a family member listening to this because really only shared it on my social media accounts, and those are the only people that really follow me. So it's a new beginning for me as I start out as a podcaster. I've done some other podcasts before, but none that have really lasted. This one is going to last because I have a new job, and we're going to get into all that here on the first episode of The Luke Kelly Show. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast at. Make sure you throw me a follow on social media at Luke Kelly Show, Instagram, Twitter, and then you could just friend request me on Facebook. I got one of those too. Pretty awesome. So this is episode number 1. What can you expect on this show? This show is going to be about my life, what's going on in pop culture. I mean, we could discuss anything on this show every single week. It could be something that you have to share that was super funny that happened in your life, and you could share that with me on my social media. I told you those channels. Hit me up on those. But this podcast is going to come out on Mondays and Wednesdays. It's going to be 20 to 30 minutes. That's it. It's going to be a super easy listen. You can listen to it on your way into work. You can listen to it on your drive home, when you're at the gym, whenever. Okay, that's the beauty of listening to podcasts. You basically make your own schedule to listen to all your favorite shows. I have my favorite shows that I listen to. I can't listen to them in one sitting sometimes because I'm just so busy where I get to hit pause and go back to it. Or sometimes I have to start over from the beginning because I don't know where I left off. But this podcast is going to be super easy for you to listen to. You're not going to need to be someone that has to start with episode number 1 if you start later on, but obviously you're starting right now since you're in episode number 1. But if you tell a friend to listen to this show and it's 6 episodes in, they don't need to go back and listen to episode number 1 because it's going to be going. I mean, there might be a few things that they don't know, but hopefully me doing a good job hosting this podcast, I'll reset things every once in a while. And it won't need to be, one of those things that they have to go back because I reset it. Hopefully I'm a good enough host. I don't know if I'll get there, but that's what you could expect out of this show twice a week. I'm so excited about that. If you're looking for this podcast on Apple Podcast, I am sorry. I do not have any Apple devices anymore, so I can't get into my account, my iCloud account, where I submit and do all that stuff for podcasts. And I have an appointment on March 14th, so that way I could put this podcast up on Apple. I'm disappointed. I thought I had it all figured out, but Apple outsmarted me. They said, that's what you get for leaving us, okay? So don't leave. I suggest leaving. There's greener and better pastures out there if you're someone that is even debating getting a different kind of phone than an iPhone. Androids are A-okay. So let's start here on the podcast. If you're someone that listened to me on the radio, hey, Luke, where the hell have you been the last few weeks? I've been off the radio. And the reason why? I don't work there anymore. I'm not in the industry. And when I was debating on what should I do next in my career, should I maybe look into staying into radio? I love the business. I love entertaining. But the thing is, to me, is even if I wasn't in the industry anymore, I could still do what I love. And that's going to be this now. The podcast world. Because in 2000, once you left the radio business, that was it. You were done for. Now, if you leave the radio business, there's so many different outlets for you to get into, whether it be YouTube, whether it be podcasting, TikToking. What do they call those people on Instagram? Influencers. You could do that as a full-on career now. So I knew this decision wasn't going to be the end of the world for me in entertainment, in radio, because of the different outlets that there are now. But I do have to say, it was a scary decision to make. I've made a lot of scary decisions in my life, but this one was a little bit more scary than anything else because this is who I've been for the last 8 years. I started working in radio professionally when I was still in college. I got hired my senior year of college. So this is all that I've known professionally. And when you're so involved in one industry, I'm sure this is the same way for you. You're in your job, and that's all you know. That's the only world. So if you were going to start a job in a completely different field, you wouldn't even know where to begin. How do you get there? How do you fake it until you make it? You got to learn to become those things. And that's why it's such a scary decision. Because not only are you leaving past what you worked so hard to get, now you're at a situation where you have to start over. And sometimes when you start over, you have to go back down to the very start of the pay scale. And you might have gotten comfortable already with the new kind of lifestyle that you've created with that new salary that you've gotten over the years of you being in whatever industry you're in. So that's another thing to be worried about. Nora is my wife, we bought a house in 2020. So that makes it extra scary. Is everything going to be okay financially in order to still take care of everything that we need with the mortgage and different bills around the house? Is that going to be an option for us? Luckily, we were able to look at everything and see that we would be A-okay if I wanted to go and do something else. If I had to start over from the bottom. It couldn't last forever, but we knew that once I got into a new career that I would eventually start gaining some momentum there and be able to get pay raises and everything like that. And right now, I'm sure you've noticed, whenever you go and look at places that are hiring, the rates are a little bit higher than ever before. Sign-on bonuses. I remember when Nora and I were down in Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountains, for our wedding weekend last year. And we remember going to this NASCAR speed park with a whole bunch of our nieces and nephews. And they were hiring $15 per hour. That's like a summer job. That's a good paying summer job. So right now, jobs are paying a lot of money. And it was just a good time to see what else was out there. Like I said, I love radio. I love this. And that's why I'm going to do this twice a week. You know, there's a lot of podcasts that I'm sure you listen to that only come out once a week. But this is going to come out twice a week just because of how much I love doing this. I miss doing a morning radio show. That was so much fun to do. I did that for like 5 or 6 years. About 5 years. Doing a morning radio show. Getting up before the sun even got up. Being able to discuss whatever's happening in the world. Have laughs. Drink a whole bunch of coffee. Go to the bathroom like 100 times throughout the show because not only does coffee make you pee, but it also makes you go poop too when you had a lot with not much to eat with it. Probably weren't expecting poop talk on this first episode, were you? If you know me, I like to talk about farts and poop because I'm immature. I still find the number 69 funny, okay? And the day that I find 69 not funny, bury me. The day that I find poop not funny, bury me. The day that I figure out that farts aren't funny, bury me. My sense of humor is that of an 8th grader. But that's okay. I know I need to mature a little bit. And I feel like with this new job that I got, I'm going to be a little bit more mature because I'm going to be dealing with people on a daily basis. I got a job working at Verizon. I'm going to be selling cell phones. And I'm looking forward to this opportunity. I really am. When I say I have to be an adult and mature a little bit, this even starts with my dress code. I've worked in radio, I told you, for 8 years. If you've ever met anyone that worked in radio, you don't really have to dress all that nice to go into work, especially when you did a morning show. I remember working in Little Rock and rolling out of bed sometimes, wearing sweatpants and a long sleeve t-shirt, and all I would do was throw on a hat and go to work. It was fantastic. It was the life. Not really having to worry about what I was going to wear. But now, since I have to be an adult and work at this Verizon store, they have a strict dress code policy. I've been wearing a tie. That's been optional, but I've been wearing a tie for the last week. And we're rolling up on week number 2 of working at Verizon and week number 2 of me wearing a tie to work. Got to wear dress pants, uncomfortable dress shoes. But luckily, I don't have to stand up as much as I thought I was going to be in, like, walking the store. Because if that were the case, man, my feet would really be hurting, and I would have to go to, like, CVS, Walgreens, and go get some Dr. Scholl's inserts. But I don't have to do that. Like I said, it's not as much walking around as I thought. But, you know, the dressing up thing. And it's so funny because as a kid, I always wanted to have a job where you dressed up for a living. You wore the suit and tie. And then I got older, and the more and more I realized, no, you don't need to do that. Just throw on some, like, comfortable pants and throw on a quarter zip, and you're fine. Quarter zips are what I rock all the time. I absolutely love wearing those things. But, like I said, when you grow up, you get into new roles, and sometimes you have to wear new clothes. You have to show that you're the person for the job. And that's what this Verizon job is doing. It's really giving me that outlet to put in as much effort as I want to get the most out of this position, which I love. And I think you always want that when you're in a job, right? You're working somewhere, you're working really hard, and you want your bosses to recognize that and they reward you. That's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm training to do right now at Verizon. And the group of people that I work with so far at Verizon have been awesome. They have been so willing to help me. I have a mentor. His name is Drew. He's doing a good job of showing me how to open the store, how to talk to clients, how to set up accounts. He's teaching me everything so that way, once I become someone that is officially out on the floor doing it all myself, that I'm going to be successful. And that's when you know you work at a good place. When you have someone that you're going to be competing with, but yet they want you to succeed just as much as they succeed. That's when you know you're entering a good place. I worked with him for a week. Going to come up here on week number 2 of working with him. He's showing me even more, he said, this week. And I'm excited about that. I mean, I've met other people that have been willing to help me share their philosophies already when it comes to maybe selling someone a new cell phone or just setting someone up on their cell phone. Whatever the case may be, they're there to help me. And it's really awesome to get that. It's people that really enjoy going into their work. And that's what I like seeing, is people being excited to go to work every single day. And if you have a job that you're excited to go to, it's easy to go to that job, right? And one of the things that makes this really easy is you get to interact with people every day, which is something that I love to do. That's why I'm doing this with you right now, because I get to interact with you. I love it. And the interaction that you get with some of your coworkers is great. I love being in an atmosphere where you could bust balls, where you could joke with someone and they could dish it back and you're all good. I live for that. That's what I was kind of brought up on as a kid. If you couldn't shoot the shit, you couldn't survive. And I think that's very important. You got to be able to have a good time. You got to know when to be serious and set those apart. You know, you could still joke when it's in a professional manner, but you might not be able to go to the level that you would with your friends when you're sitting, hanging out, shooting pool, or maybe out on the golf course. But you still get to go out there and have a lot of fun. And you're probably wondering, how did you get a job at Verizon? How does that even happen? You're in radio. Well, when I was on the search, I started to look for different opportunities. And I'm talking about any industry, any marketing, sales, which this is a sales position, graphics, because I've done a little work with that. I looked up everything. And then finally a recruiter reached out to me and we started to talk. And the more and more we talked, the more and more interested I got in this position. And when I was talking to this recruiter, I was like, man, this guy seems awesome. But now that I'm working there and now that I'm training, everything that he said has been proven to be true. And I love it. I absolutely do. And I can't wait to get really involved into it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so rewarding because I've always wanted to be somewhere where if you work hard and you dedicate yourself, you're going to make money. And that's what I'm about. Time to make some money. Time to go get that country club membership. Time to go get things done around the house. Well, let's flip those around, okay? Nora's not going to let me get a country club before we start doing house projects. Trust me, there's a list of things that we want to do to the house. So we'll get to that stuff before I get that country club membership. That's a goal, okay? And I think that's important for you whenever you're starting a new job, is setting goals. Not only goals in the workplace, but things that you're able to achieve outside of the workplace because of your new job. And for me, getting a membership at a country club means that I've done it. That means I've succeeded. Because I've grown up playing golf. I had a family membership at a golf course back at home. It was a public one, okay? It wasn't all something high and fancy. It wasn't joining Augusta National or anything like that. I'm telling you, it was a public course. You could have a yearly membership there, and most people would go out there and play in the league on Tuesdays. You could play on the weekends. It was a lot of fun. But joining a private country club is a lot different than having a membership at a public place. I mean, it is. So that will be very cool. I would feel very like I made it in life. I'll feel like I could go and play golf whenever I want now because I'm cheap. And this is one thing that you'll learn on this podcast. I am someone that is super frugal. Sometimes I don't like going to play golf because I'm going to have to pay $40. Then I'm going to have to pay for gas. And then I'm going to have to pay for my golf balls. And I break it down all like that. And I really start to say, you know what, Luke? Maybe you shouldn't go golfing. Or if I had a country club membership, I'd be like, nope, you're good to go. You already paid for it. And now since you paid for it, you really have to use it in order to get the most out of your money. When I say I'm cheap, I mean I'm really cheap. When I was starting out in radio, I didn't make a lot of money. And if you don't know, radio people don't make a lot of money. They don't get into the business to make a lot of money. Now, if you're super talented and you could get to New York, LA, Chicago, you can make some good money. You can make a good living in doing those jobs. But I was making maybe $30,000, a little less at my first radio job. And I could barely afford gas because at that point when I had gotten into radio, my first job, gas was still pretty high. So I would make sure after I left work for the day, I had to go run my errands and then go home. So that way I wouldn't go out the rest of the day. And if I had to go out somewhere, I would make sure that it was within walking distance of my apartment so I wouldn't have to pay for gas. Like, these are all things that I would think about before I would go out and spend money. Is it going to be enough of a reward after I'm done doing that activity to pay that money? Am I going to get that big of a benefit out of it? And most of the times it would be, nope, should have stayed at home. Should have done it, but that's what happens when you overthink, especially about financials sometimes. Now, it's good to have a good time, but sometimes you have to be realistic. Like, can you afford it? Odds are probably not. And I got a credit card really late in life, so it was hard for me to build up credit to, like, get a car, get simple things. Get good rates on insurance and have I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff, houses and stuff like that. If it weren't for Nora, I don't know if we would even be in the situation to get a house. She has the good credit. And now she's taught me. She's a good teacher on that stuff. But I'm super excited about episode number 1. Now, episode number 1 is a lot different than what I think is going to be happening here with the rest of the Luke Kelly shows. I plan on talking about what's going on in my life, mostly that, what's going on in pop culture. I mean, just everything in the world. Now, this one was a little bit more focused on what I'm doing now, because I feel like if you listen to me or if you're a family member, I'm kind of catching you up on my career. What's the latest and greatest with me? I just told you all that. So now on Wednesday, when a new episode comes out, or whenever the hell you listen to the second episode, we'll kind of get into what I think the show is going to be like a lot more. All right? So remember, this show comes out on Mondays and Wednesdays. 20 to 30 minutes. That's all I'm asking you for. 20 to 30 minutes. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening at. I'll figure out the Apple thing at some point whenever that opportunity comes up. March 14th, I think I said. That's when my appointment is. And then tell a friend to listen to this thing. If you like it, maybe don't suggest it right away until we get into it, but I say suggest it right away. If you're a friend of mine, that's what you do because you're a friend, okay? Friends support friends. We're a big family group, right? Support one another so that way we could all succeed. I thought this was fun, and I'll talk to you on the next episode of The Luke Kelly Show.